Hello FlossTube, my name is Leann and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as Forbidden Fiber Co. Today is Sunday, June 29th, and this is my 46th FlossTube. It's been about 2 weeks since my last video, which is like a miracle, I know. But it's the end of June and I'm gonna switch up my plans for July, so I kind of wanted to do a transition video so I didn't come back and do like another hour long video like I did last time. I don't have a ton of stitching to show you. I have a lot of different projects, but I haven't made a lot of progress. I've been dealing with some health stuff over the last week and it's just kind of really killed my stitchy bug. And I've mostly just been laying in bed and reading. So I have read a lot of books and we'll go over that later, just a little bit. I'm not going to talk about everyone, but I have some shop update stuff. I have some knitting. So yeah, if you want to grab a drink, grab a project, and let's just get right to it. The first thing I have to show you, as always, is Marvel Heroes. I'll pop a picture up there of what it's supposed to look like. I bought this on Etsy back in 2020 by Popular Cross Stitch. It's no longer available, but I'm sure there's someone else who has charted this. So this is my daily stitch. I stitch the equivalent of 50 stitches a day, but I've been doing lots of catch up. So over the last 2 weeks, I stitched 848 stitches. And they are all in here. And like I mentioned last time, I decided to try out doing a 10 by 20 column, stitching left to right, top to bottom, instead of just a 10 by 10 column, because I really felt like I couldn't see the progress when I was just stitching 10 by 10 blocks, and I really am enjoying it. It's not so much fun when you're trying to catch up and you're doing 150 or so stitches and it's tons of confetti. Like this guy had so much confetti in him and they're all light colors, so he was really a pain to stitch. And in that sense, it wasn't fun because I was essentially doing all of him in that 10 by 20 block. But once I got past him, it's been fine. And I really like that I can see my progress. So yeah, a total of 848 stitches, and I'm gonna have to roll this up so I can talk and show you where I'm stitching at the same time. I now have a total of 71,935 stitches on it, and it's 68.38% complete. So I am over 2/3 of the way done, which is very exciting. My goal on that piece, the reason why it's my daily stitch, is I'm trying to finish it by next year, Christmas time-ish. It's a gift for my husband, and I really, after working on it for 5 years now, I really just want to get it done. It's my oldest whip. Whip is work in progress. Okay, so after I work on my marble piece, I spin a wheel. I split my projects up at the beginning of this year into seasonal projects, and right now I'm working on my summer projects. There's really not a big difference between summer and spring. It's just kind of my garden-y, sunny, non-wintry or non-fall kind of projects. So the first project I'm going to show you is Dark Queen by Autumn Lane Stitchery. This was their mystery stitch along. They started with Dark Queen of the Sea, I think, and then they did Dark Queen of the Earth. And there's supposed to be 2 more coming, but I'm not really sure what the schedule is on that. So let me show you where I'm at. And I don't know what part I'm on this. I know that I stalled out after they revealed the face because I wasn't super happy with either of the faces that they put out. And I tried to chart my own. I tried to combine them and do some things, but Erin's charting is so masterful and complicated that it was too much for me. So right now I'm just working on filling in all the other stuff, and I figure I'll come back and do the face and the hair when all of that's done, whenever all of that's done. So right now I put in over here on this viney thing, it comes down here. And so I just put in 277 stitches right in there. I worked on this 2 times in the last really just in the last, and it's been in the last 2 weeks, but I didn't stitch it all last week. So in that first week, that's when I worked on that 2 times. The next piece I worked on, I also spun the wheel 2 times for, and it is my Chatelaine, and I am doing the Old English walled rose garden. It's not a traditional mandala style. It's really just a scene of this Old English walled rose garden. There's where I'm at. I started this a couple of years ago with Sarah, and we were doing Chatelaine Wednesdays, but it's a gate, and it is so complicated with so many partial stitches and then all this glittery silver back stitching, and it just was too much for me. And I don't usually have a lot of stitching time on Wednesdays anyway, because I have church, and by the time we get home and get the kids to bed or started on bedtime and all of that, it's already like 8 o'clock. And so I was never really stitching on it very much, and I kind of put it away for a while, and I really wanted to get it back out this year. And after the 2 times that I worked on it last week, I'm remembering why I put it away. I worked mostly in here just trying to fill in all these little empty squares. This is a specialty stitch right there. That's why that's a big empty block. And I went in and I kept trying to work on the back stitching here of the gate. And I don't know how well it's coming off on camera, but it's a pain in the butt. I also worked in this green here I finished out a thread that I had. I don't know which side I was working on, but one of these sides, I finished out the green somewhere. I thought when I picked this back up, I was like, I'm so much more an experienced stitcher now, and I bet it's just gonna be fine. And no, it's not, because the chart is tiny. I can only open it on, I don't have an iPad, I just have a Kindle that I use for Pattern Keeper. And so I open it on the Kindle in like the Kindle program, the Kindle app, and I have to blow it up. And even then, it's such a difficult pattern to read. And I know once I get out of this gate, it will be easier. But right now I'm stuck on the gate because I just want to get it finished. But yeah, it's a beautiful pattern. It's just the actual written instructions were never actually finished. So that makes it really hard to work on. The next piece I have to show you is Beautiful Things by leann.stitches. I worked on this 1 time in the last week, and I haven't told you any of the fabrics I've been stitching on. I'm not going to go back and do it now, but I'll try to be better going forward. I started this as a 12 by 12 on New Year's Eve in 2023, I think. And that was really the only time I had worked on it, that 1, hour slot on New Year's Eve, until this year when I picked it back up. And this is my 2nd time working on it this year. And so I'm just keep on working on the letters. I'm doing a Forbidden Fiber Co conversion on this. I talked a little bit about my floss woes my last video, but there's the conversion so far. I've only converted a few of the flosses. And I'm stitching it 2/1 on a 36 count. I think this is Primrose. It looks dark for Primrose, and there's not any green in it, but that's what I feel like it is. So there's that. The next piece I worked on is This Is the Day by Plum Street Samplers. I picked this up at Market a few years ago, and it was another New Year's Eve 12 by 12 start. And I am completely in love with that pink brick house, and that's what made me want it. And this is, again, my 2nd time picking this up during my summer project rotation, but I only worked on it 1 day. And this is the way it goes. And again, I'm doing a Forbidden Fiber Co conversion. I'm stitching 1/2 on a 40 count waterfall from Forbidden Fiber. And I'm just working on the bricks. I really want to get to work on the flowers next to the house, but so far I've just been working on the bricks. And the lighter pink I'm using is Being Tested Makes You Stronger. And then the darker pink is Spice. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to convert all of the flosses into forbidden fiber or just the fancy flosses, because there are like 6 or 7 fancy flosses and the rest are DMC. Right now I'm just working on the fancy flosses, and then I figure I'll make up my mind after that. Okay, so after I spin a wheel and work on my summer projects for either 30 minutes or 100 stitches, whichever. If it's pattern keeper, I do about 100 stitches. If it's not pattern keeper, I do 30 minutes. After that, I spin my focus wheel. I have 2, and I alternate between a full coverage focus and a non-full coverage focus. And when I filmed my last video, I had just worked one day on God Shed His Grace, and each piece gets a 3-day rotation. So the first thing I did was I did another 2 days on God Shed His Grace. It's by, it's charted by Cross Stitch Studio, and it's massive. I stitched another 1,038 stitches on this, and I hit 2% of the chart. So this piece is 869 by 583, I think. I don't know how many stitches total that is, but it's a lot. It's like 600,000 or something like that. So I finally hit 2%, and I think I finally decided that I'm going to do color completion by page. And so I finished a partial page down here. I might have even, yeah, I finished one partial page down here, and so I moved up here, and I'm working from the top to bottom on this page. It goes to about right there, if I remember right. Or maybe, no, it goes over here somewhere is the page finish. And so I'm just working top to bottom on that page, color completing on the page, and then, you know, finishing up my string wherever it might go after I color complete the page. So I think that's how I'm going to do this piece, is I'm just going to do color complete by page, just because it's so massive. I can't wrap my head around doing it any other way at the moment. And I decided that after I finish Marvel, I'm going to make this a daily stitch piece, because I think I figured it out. And even if I stitch like 400 stitches a day, it's going to take me 10 years to finish. I don't think it's quite that bad, but it's pretty bad. And so I really just want to make some good progress on this. It's one of those pieces that I actually started because I want to see it hanging in my house. I have the perfect place on the wall picked out for it. And I actually want to see it finished. So I think this is going to be my focus piece, at least for a little while, after I finish Marvel Heroes, and we'll make it a daily stitch. I forgot to say I'm stitching that 2/1 on 18 count. That's part of the reason why it's so massive. It is a lot of stitches, but it's actually like, I mean, it's like bedspread size. It's insanely huge. The next piece I worked on is Mercy and Grace by Sweet Wing Studio, and I'm not going to post a picture up there because I have a finish. I think this is honestly my first finish, at least personal, not model stitch wise, of 2025, which, given that it's almost July, that's insane. But there it is. I stitched this 1/2 on 36 count using a Forbidden Fiber Co. conversion, and I stitched it on lavender fields. And the white, let me see if I can get this closer. The white letters weren't showing up for me, and it was really bugging me. And so I went ahead and I just got a medium gray, and I outlined them, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out. It's a little starker on screen on the camera than it is in real life, so it's not quite as dark as that. And then instead of outlining everything that was white, like the birds and these flowers, I after I finished that, I did these flowers and these birds and these flowers and these flowers. I did use the white, I did 2 threads instead of 1, so that they pop a little bit better. But I really love the way this one came out, and I can't wait to frame it, and I'll probably put it out at Easter time. Or I might not frame it, I might finish it out some other way, who knows, but I really love the way it came out. The last piece that I have to show you is Sakura Garden, and I never remember the artist name or the shop name, so I'll put it on the screen. I bought it off of Etsy, and I'm stitching this for my son because he loves Japan. I'm stitching it 1/1 on 28 count corn silk by Forbidden Fiber. I picked this fabric because at the time it was the closest to ecru, DMC ecru that we had, and there was something like 40-something thousand stitches of ecru, and I decided to remove all of those and stitch it with no background. And I only stitched on this for 1 day, and I got 215 stitches done, and I'm going on the top of this little structure and just going color by color and stitching down. So I worked, it's really hard to see because they're really light, almost, some of the colors are the same as the fabric or really blend in, and then I worked in here on this brown a little bit. But this, like a lot of full coverages, this one is really addictive to work on, just seeing those tiny details come out. So I have 2 more days to work on this one before switching projects again. One of the things, I think I talked about it last time, was that my focus wheel has less projects on it than my full coverage wheel. So I finished my focus wheel, which was like the wheel that Mercy and Grace was on. I finished that wheel and was already in the middle of another rotation, like another rotation around it. Words are failing me. I've had a headache for like a week and a half, so my words and my brain aren't working right. But so I had already started working on another rotation while I was still finishing up my full coverage wheel. And so what I decided to do was, because all of my gift pieces, aside from Marvel, which is a daily piece, but I have the Frozen for my youngest daughter, I have the Realm of Enchantment for my middle daughter, and I have Sakura Garden for my son. They're all full coverage. So what I did was I kind of doubled them up so I'd make some more progress. And I put all 3 of my kids' projects on my non-full coverage focus wheel also. And that way the wheels are a little more balanced project-wise. Of course, once I finished Mercy and Grace, it got unbalanced again, but that's fine. So, and then I get double the work on my gift pieces. So we'll see how it goes. I'm about to blow it all up for July, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So it doesn't really matter, but yeah, that's Sakura Garden. So that's everything I stitched on the week before I started feeling bad. And like I said last week, I really didn't get any stitching done, but I wanted to film it because tomorrow is June 30th, which makes Tuesday, July 1st. And I've been kind of toying with the idea of a Christmas in July, where when I broke everything out into seasonal pieces, I also broke out my Christmas projects separate from my winter projects, with the idea that I'd spend the month of December working on Christmas projects. But I kind of also want to work on them more than that. I have a couple of pieces that are pretty large and I'd really like to see some significant progress on them. So I think for the month of July, what I'm going to do is I have a big bag. It's in a Garon Toten bag, massive bag from their December bag of the month or November bag of the month last year. I have all my Christmas projects in there, and I think I'm going to do a Christmas wheel, and these are going to be after my Marvel. I'll work for 30 minutes or 100 stitches on one of these projects, and then my focus piece is going to be my sleigh ride, which is the stitch along that Sarah, Zan, and I started last December, and I was doing really good on it through about February, and then after I got back from market and I took a big stitching break, I never really got back into it. So I think I'm going to make that my focus piece for July. So I just wanted to show you. Oh, I have a frog in my throat, and I don't know if you can tell in my voice, but it's not letting me talk very well. So I just thought I'd show you the projects that I'm going to work on for the next month, and I have like a nice starting point so I don't have to go dig through my whip parade. So the first piece is Royal Holiday by Mirabilia, and this was the first Mirabilia I ever started, and it's what got me hooked. And here's where I'm at. And I started in her dress, and I thought I'd get her whole dress done before I moved on to the coat, but I got really bored. And also I have an error in here somewhere that makes this bottom portion somewhere over here like there's an extra stitch. And so I have to really, really think when I stitch it, and I got tired of it. It was making me not want to work on it. So I decided to go up last year instead, and I worked on the candle, and I got the candle completely done except for beads. And then I started working on her coat, and I thought I would move my way up and do her head, because seeing her face is always fun. So that's probably what I will keep doing. In here, I don't know if you can tell, but I only have the bottom half of the stitch done. This uses Whisper. I don't have it. It's in my bag somewhere. I don't want to pull it out, but it uses whisper thread. And I heard that a trick for using whisper is to do the bottom half in white DMC and the top X in the whisper. And that way it's not quite as crazy. So I'm doing the bottom half of the X in the white DMC. And then when I go back and bead, I will do the top half of the X in the whisper, just so I don't have to deal with the little wispy threads while I'm stitching the rest of it. Oh, I'm stitching that 2/2 on a Forbidden Fiber Co. It's kind of a one-of-a-kind fabric. We named it Tree Fern, but with all of the dye reformulations and everything, I haven't actually been able to recreate it since the first time I dyed it. I dyed 2 pieces when I dyed this one, and I did a 32 count regular and a 32 count opalescent. And so we had the opalescent in the store for a little while, but once it was gone, like I said, I really couldn't recreate it. So, but that's what that is. The next piece I have in my Christmas rotation is Deck the Halls. It is by Crow's Feet Stitching. I got it on Etsy, and I started it a few years ago in a stitch along on Instagram. I don't remember. I think it was just hashtag Deck the Halls Sal. But someone had asked me to do a Forbidden Fiber Co. conversion of all the colors, so I did. And that's what they are. And then when I pulled all the colors, I was like, I want to stitch that. So I did. And here's where I'm at. It's actually a lot more stitching than it looks, particularly her dress and then this table. But I got a good bit done on it in December of last year when I pulled out all my Christmas projects. So I'd really like to get some more done. There's still a lot more stitching left. I'm stitching 1/2 on a 36 count Winter Sparrow. So there's that one. Okay, the next piece I have is Little House Needleworks Kringles. And I started this with Sarah, Memphis Sarah E, a few years ago. That's gonna be a theme. A lot of things I started a few years ago. And it was gonna be a focus piece after we finished, not Hawk Run Hollow. Maybe it was Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I don't remember. We were working on something together, and when we finished it, we were gonna focus on this. And so I had it all split up into 12 sections or whatever, and then we started working on something else instead. So I'm just trying to make some progress on this when I can. I would really love to finish it. It's beautiful. I did another Forbidden Fiber Co. conversion just on the fancy flosses. The rest of them are DMC. I use the Forbidden Fiber Co. cards because it's what I have. So some of these are DMC and some of them are fancy flosses. That's the color palette. My favorite color in this conversion is Brick, which is kind of like it's a variegated brick color. I don't know if you can see it, but you'll be able to see it when I show you my stitching. So you can kind of see, I love what it does for the bricks. Love what it does for the bricks on this. So that is the very center. I did a middle start, and that's the very center of the Kringles Toy Store, and I'm almost done with it. I have to do this little guy's face, but I didn't think I had that color, and I have it now. So I want to get started on another room. I think I want to do another room, maybe next to that. Maybe I'll go down and do the Kringles sign is right here. I don't really know yet, but most likely I'll want to work on those bricks and start another room. I think that's where you get the most, the easiest progress. So it makes it feel like you're actually getting something done, as opposed to if I were to start on that Kringles sign, it's all full coverage in there and it would probably take me forever. Okay, the last piece in my Christmas project rotation, is 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I don't have the artist's name because I forgot to look it up before I started, and I don't have it on my computer that I just looked up the project on. I started this on Christmas 12/25 of last year, and I just put in 1,000 stitches on it before putting it away. So I'd really like to get some more work done on that. I'm stitching, this is 2/1, looks like 25 count, easy guide to me. I could be wrong on that, it could be 28 count, but I'm pretty sure it's 25 count. So yeah, not much to see there yet, but there's some, it looks like I did black and green. So yeah, that's the last Christmas rotation project that I'm going to be working on. Okay, and then as I mentioned, my focus piece for the month of July is going to be Sleigh Ride by Praiseworthy Stitches. And I started this with Sarah from Memphis, Sarah E. And Zan was supposed to start it with us, Crazy Band Lady Stitches, but I don't know that she ever did. She's been doing some vintage market booths and stuff like that, and it's been keeping her real busy. So I know she hasn't been stitching much. So there's that. And here's where I got to. So I think this was my December and January section, and then my February section was this, and I almost got it done. Actually, this might have been my February section. I don't remember. I split it all up, but I don't remember how. So basically, I got almost through my February section before I lost my mojo on it. And so I really want to make some major progress on this. I'm stitching this 1/2 on 36 count Silent Night by Forbidden Fiber Co. And I'm using some of the called for fancy flosses, and then the rest I'm doing DMC conversion. Plus there's some Krynic. This is a Krynic blending filament. And then I hated it. If you go back to my old videos, you will know exactly how much I hated it, because I was very prolific with how much I hated it. And so I changed the red to an Entice Petite. Yeah, Petite Entice. So that's what I'm doing, the red. And then I also, there's some white snow that I also got Petite Entice to work on. So there's that. And that's going to be my focus piece for the month of July. Okay, so I haven't done a ton of knitting. I tend to knit more when I'm out and about, like waiting in the car at soccer practices or dance class or whatever. And dance is over for the summer. And my son is playing summer soccer, but he hasn't played. He didn't play last week because he was at camp. So I just haven't really had anywhere to take it. I knit at church too, but I just haven't been feeling up to it. So I've just been, not. Anyway, I have made some progress, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but that's actually the wrong side. This is the right side. This, I don't remember if I said it, it's the Comfort Fade Cardigan Comfort Fade Cardi by Andrea Mowry, and I am working on the shawl color. So, let me try. This is really awkward to show when. So that's where the short rows are. So that's the back of the collar. And I just finished the short rows on the, so you can kind of see how the short rows taper off there. I just finished the short rows on my color B, which is Crown of Ice from the Winter Court collection by Forbidden Fiber Co. I'm using the Fortitude DK base, which is just a superwash merino DK weight yarn. There's 275 yards per ball. So I have 1 ball of color A and 2 balls of all of the other colors. And this is the only one I've tapped into the second ball on so far. I don't have the other yarns with me in this project bag, but so the last time I showed it, I was just fading into color 2, and now I'm just about to fade into color 3. So here it is. And hopefully the next time I show it, I'll have the shawl collar done and I can actually show you what it looks like when it's not on needles and all bunched up. I'm using the 4 of the 5 colors in the Winter Court collection. Like I said, that's the only one I have in this project bag because it's a lot. And I keep forgetting to get a bigger project bag from the studio to bring it home. But I'm using, my color A is Polar Bear Army, color B is Crown of Ice, color C is, I can't remember. And color D is Mountain Home. Veil of Protection. Veil of Protection is my color C. So like I said, it's 4 of the 5 colors in the Winter Court yarn collection. So there's that one. Okay, so part of the reason why I didn't get much done on that is because I cast on a new project, because that's what we do. And it's a black and white picture, but this is a shawl I designed last year, or I think last year. It's called the Dragnet shawl. I haven't released it outside of the club that it was in, just because it was a mix of yarns, of my yarn and a friend's yarn. And since I don't sell my friend's yarn, I kind of wanted to have a sample all in my yarn for when I bring it to shows, to show off. And so when we released the Summer Court yarn a couple weeks ago, I loved the colors so much that I was like, I want to cast on. So I picked the speckled colorway, which is Lesser Fairies, and then this colorway, which is Adriata. And this is on the Pride base, which, as you can see, is very sparkly. It's a fingering weight yarn. And I didn't get very far, but that's what I got. And I absolutely love the Adriata. Love it. I don't know if you can see in the camera, but there's just so many shades of teal and aqua and almost like a navy and violet, and I just love it. So, and garter stripes are my absolute favorite, which is why there's so many in this shawl. And that's where I'm at with that. Just a really tiny start, but it was fun to get to knit with some new yarns. Okay, so that's all the knitting that I've been working on over the last couple weeks. Reading, like I said, I've been dealing with some health stuff. I've had a really bad headache, and I'm working on it with my doctor. But so I just haven't really been in the mood to craft much. It hurts sometimes to sit down and concentrate. It hurts my head. So I've really just been laying in bed and reading and resting. And so I have read a ton of books. I can't even tell you how many I've read over the last couple weeks, but I will tell you that I was listening to, I was doing the tandem read of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn for the Throne of Glass series, and I was listening to it while I was working and while I was cross-stitching, and I finally finished that about a week and a half ago. And it was a lot. It was intense. And I started in on the next book in the series, which is, I think, the last book in the series. And I don't remember what it's called, but it was too intense for me at that point, because that's when I started to not feel well. And a couple of my longtime favorite romance authors had released some new books. So I went and read those. And the first one was A Royal Mile by Samantha Young. And it's a new series. I think it's the second book in a new series that is a spin-off of her On Dublin Street series, which is the series that I actually found Samantha Young on. And it takes place in Scotland, and this is the spin-off is the first set of couples. This is their kids now, and I eat all that stuff up. So I read that. I think I started it at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and I stayed up way too late reading it. I don't think I finished it that night, but I think I was up to like 1 or 2 in the morning. It wasn't good. But then after that, I think right after that is when I finished the tandem read. And so I was like, I just need a break. My head was hurting. And so I read Icebreaker is the first novel in the series. It's a series of 3 right now. And I had been avoiding it. I saw it on BookTube, and everybody was reading it. Everybody was putting it in their TBR piles and all, and their whatever, you know, choosing their TBR books for the month, like the booktubers like to do. And everyone was raving over it, but I'm just really not into sports romances. They're so far out of my realm of like possibilities that it's just never been my thing. But I finally broke down. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and I was like, I'm just gonna read it. It was so good. It wasn't like a traditional sports romance where it was like, you know, big famous hockey star dates small town girl and rich and famous and blah, blah, blah. It was actually, it took place at a college, and it was the captain of the hockey team and an ice skater. And just, I'm a character driven, like that. I read character driven books. That's just always been my thing. I like to relate to characters and and I like happy endings and stuff like that. And the characters in this series of book are so complex. One of them's even neurodivergent. It's an undiagnosed like ADHD type of stuff. And I read all 3 of them like in less than 3 days. I just plowed right through them. And then after that, another one of my favorite authors, Kristen Ashley. I don't really like her new stuff at all. She went a little off the deep end for me and much more into that world of rich and famous and looking down their nose at people type of characters. And so I don't really read her new stuff, but I'll go back and reread her old stuff. And she has a new series out called The Avenging Angels. And it's almost like another second generation book, second generation series, where her very first series were the Rock Chicks. And it's romance novels, but it's like wild, out of control, crazy antics, and they're just fun. And it wasn't the first books of hers I read, but it was some of the first books. And they all take place in the 90s, where they still have flip cells, and the fashion is what, I know, because I was in high school and college in the 90s. It was the Tenderfoot was her new book, and it was the 3rd in this new series. So I went back and I read the first 2, then I read the new one, and then I was like, oh, I haven't reread the Rock Chick books in a while. So then I went back and I started rereading the Rock Chick books, and now I'm on book 5 of technically 8 originals, but there's 2 novellas too. So I'm on book 5 of those, and that's basically what I've been doing, is just reading all those crazy books, nothing heavy. We have book club on Tuesday, so I'm about to read that book so I can, participate in the discussion. And yeah, that's about it. For shop updates, this weekend is actually the 30th anniversary of Clueless. And so in about an hour, my husband and I are going to go on a date night, and we are going to go down to Memphis and see Clueless in the big screen, because it came out in 1995, and I don't remember if I saw it in the theater. I was living in a tiny town in 1995, and we didn't really get movies. It was the Ramona Twin Cinemas, and we usually got movies like 6 weeks after they came out, and so I don't know that I saw it in the theater, but I definitely watched it over and over again, and my best friend from high school and we still talk about that movie. Anytime something comes up on social media, we forward it to each other. So he's gonna be nice and take me to go see that. And I'm gonna knit on my Comfort Fade cardi in the theater, because that's what we do. And yeah, so this weekend in the shop, that's right, I was on a shop update, not a movie update. We did a little mystery kit for yarn and cross stitch for Clueless. And then as I was deep diving into Clueless, I found, Kelly found this conspiracy theory that Elle Woods from Legally Blonde is just Cher Horowitz from Clueless in college. And like, once you go down that rabbit hole, like, you can't unsee it. And so we paired off our Clueless kits with a Legally Blonde kit, and it's called the Totally Clueless and Totally Blonde. And we called the entire shop update Totally Fierce. So that's what's in the shop this weekend. And then Tuesday is July 1st, which means our Advent calendars are going to go on sale at midnight. So that's Monday night at midnight. All the Advent boxes will go on sale. Twas the night before Christmas, and I have a graphic to show you now. And also our Hobbit inspired 12 days box. So I have a graphic for that too. So those are all going on sale on Tuesday. And we're going to have a little sale over the 4th of July weekend. And that's about all that's going on at work. We're just working away, shipping out kits and fabric clubs and floss clubs and book clubs and all of the clubs. We did release a bunch of patterns in the shop too last week. We released a whole bunch of patterns out of kits that we had released over the last 6 months or so. So I Smell Snow from the Gilmore Girls, and Frosted Nutcracker was a Christmas kit that we did. And Henchman was a Minions inspired one after Despicable Me 4 came out. And then there's also, what else is there? There's 2 more. I don't remember. I'll put them up here though. I've been filming for almost 50 minutes now, and I know I'll cut a lot out of it because a lot of it is opening and closing bags and going to get projects and looking stuff up on the computer, but my brain is definitely telling me time to call it quits and go out to dinner and go see Clueless. So I hope you are having a good weekend. I'm not sure when I'll get this edited and up, but hopefully by tomorrow. Yeah, I guess I will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Bye.